J.D. Vance lands in Islamabad, promises tremendous Iran ceasefire while bombs politely ignore him. Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in the Pakistani capital Thursday with the sort of swagger usually reserved for a man who just won a county fair pie eating contest, declaring he was ready to hammer out the best ceasefire deal in the history of ceasefires with Iranian officials. Fresh off a European victory lap where he stumped alongside Hungarian strongman Viktor Orban, Vance stepped off the plane looking optimistic, if slightly jet-lagged. "We're not here to play games," he told reporters, before immediately adding the now signature Vance qualifier, or, we could. "We're flexible." Iranian negotiators showed up armed with a list of demands so long it required its own diplomatic courier, unfreeze billions in assets, convince Israel to stop turning Lebanon into Swiss cheese, and perhaps toss in a ceremonial sorry about all the sanctions gift basket. Sources in the room describe the early exchanges as frank and constructive, which in diplomatic language means everyone smiled tightly while imagining throwing furniture. The timing, however, proved less than ideal. As Vance was shaking hands and praising serious diplomacy, Israeli forces were conducting what Lebanese media have colorfully dubbed Black Wednesday, a greatest hits compilation of airstrikes that left over 300 dead and Hezbollah answering with the Middle Eastern equivalent of Hold My Rocket. When asked about the awkward simultaneity of peace talks and active bombing, Vance reportedly shrugged and said, "Look, Lebanon's complicated, but if everyone could just chill for 48 hours, that would be tremendous." Back in Washington, President Trump praised the mission from afar, tweeting that JD is doing fantastic work, "Nobody does peace like us," while simultaneously floating the idea of ditching NATO because they weren't sending us their best people during that whole Strait of Hormuz thing. Global oil markets, never once to miss a party, immediately spiked on fears the ceasefire might remain theoretical. American drivers, already paying premium prices for gas, responded with the traditional national pastime, sighing loudly and refreshing gas price apps. Administration officials expressed cautious optimism that the talks could yield a framework for future frameworks, possibly by next fiscal quarter or whenever the explosions die down. Iranian sources described the atmosphere as productive, which insiders translated as "We're still here and nobody has walked out yet." Vance is expected to remain in Islamabad for at least another day of intense negotiations, photo ops, and carefully worded statements that commit to nothing while sounding extremely committed. This story is developing, much like the ceasefire itself.